Novak Djokovic is now the king of number one. That's what he is after winning his Paris semifinal against Hurkacz today, because he clinches year-end number one in 2021, and he does so for the 7th time, which passes Pete Sampras, who previously held the record with 6. So now Novak Djokovic has the most ever weeks at number one and also the most year-end number ones. So although it's very impressive that Pete Sampras got all 6 of his year-end number ones consecutively, you will have to admit, Novak Djokovic, no one has been better at being number one as often as he has. So let's get into this match tactically. Hurkacz and Djokovic, Paris semifinal. Well, I don't mean to crap on the level of play at all here, because it wasn't bad. But the court is so slow, and Hurkacz and Djokovic cover the court. Their movement is so good that neither player could hit through each other. Neither player could generate offense from the baseline. People don't realize how quick Hurkacz is. He's in the Zverev and the Medvedev mold. He doesn't just move well for his height. He just moves well. And we all know how fast Djokovic is. So it was a real struggle for both when it comes to creating offense. So it was going to come down to one of two things. If Hurkacz won the match, which he almost did, this went to a 3rd set tiebreak. Hurkacz won the 1st set 6-3. Djokovic got a bagel in the 2nd set 6-love. And then in the 3rd set, Novak won in a tiebreak 7-6. And it was a close tiebreak, 7-5, the final score. If Hurkacz won, I probably would be sitting here saying that the Hubert Hurkacz serve was the difference. Because of the first serve effectiveness that Hurkacz had, very effective, he actually won the short rallies on average here. He won 49 to Djokovic's 44 points in rallies 0 through 4 shots. Again, I really credit Hurkacz's serve here. So it could have been neither player could create the offense, but Hurkacz was getting that free offense, that cheap offense off of his first serve, which on average is about 10 miles per hour faster than Djokovic's first serve. But at the end of the day, he couldn't quite ride that first serve to victory, evidenced by his difficulty winning second serve points. Hurkacz wins just 34% of second serve points throughout the match, and these things go hand in hand. He couldn't win the rallies, the longer rallies. Djokovic, in points that went past 4 shots, so 5+ shots, Djokovic won 50 and Hurkacz won 35. So a plus 15 differential for Djokovic. And that came down to consistency, in my opinion. It came down to unforced errors for the most part that Hurkacz was missing before Djokovic. And mostly that comes on the forehand. Djokovic has a much more reliable forehand than Hurkacz. And I know everyone, it's more common to give love to the Djokovic backhand as being the consistent side, but the forehand is really just as consistent when Novak wants it to be, and Hurkacz isn't there yet on that side. And I constantly think about how much better Hurkacz can be. He's already so good. He's already a top 10 player. He's going to Turin, but there's so much more room for improvement on the forehand side. And if you look at Novak's forehand ground strokes, he has 17 finishes to 10 unforced errors in the match. So 1 winner and 16 forcing shots to 10 unforced errors. Good ratio there, positive ratio of finishing points. You can see, though, it was very hard to really finish cleanly with only 1 winner here. But Hurkacz had 8 finishes, 3 winners, 5 forcing shots, to 11 unforced errors. So Hurkacz has a negative ratio on the forehand. Djokovic has a positive ratio on the forehand. That is going to decide these baseline rallies, these neutral baseline rallies, which Djokovic was dominating. And as the point went further and further along, Djokovic built a bigger and bigger advantage. Hurkacz had to rely on his first serve and his net play, right? Hubie at net was fantastic. He was 20 for 26. Djokovic was not handy when he was not only at net, but really around the service line. Anytime he had to rely on his feel, he wasn't as good as he usually was in this match. He was 10 for 21, below 50% slightly at net. But on match point, Hurkacz missed a makeable volley. He really could have made that volley, and he didn't. If you look at the tiebreak and you zoom in on there, Hurkacz made a lot of routine errors. Djokovic made none. That was the difference here, where Novak, on not his best day, against a really tricky opponent with Hurkacz, we talk about how his ball, the pace is weird. He doesn't give you a lot of pace to work with. He's super fast. The backhand stays really low and is overall just such a difficult shot. He bombs his first serve. You know, so many difficult things to deal with. But where Djokovic built the advantage was through his consistency, was through the fact that he was way less error-prone than Hubert Hurkacz. And as a result, he wins Hurkacz's second serve return points, or his own second serve return points, and he builds an advantage in consistency and reliability on the forehand because that side is just so much more reliable. That is the simple breakdown of the match, but ultimately a massive victory for Djokovic, coming off a stretch where he's probably a little undercooked, hasn't played enough tennis. I think didn't feel the same kind of pressure, not even close, that he did going for the Grand Slam, but probably knew what was at stake here, really wanted to win. He said earlier this week that this is why he came to Paris, and Hurkacz playing with very little to lose, having clinched the ATP finals. He's going to be in that final 8. So a difficult spot for Djokovic, and to come through it with the victory is pretty impressive. Big accomplishment, the king of number 1. And now in the final, he will face either Zverev or Medvedev. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.